why won't anyone get close to me? It's a question I hear over and over in my own head and from clients all the time. I'm Kathy Bertoli from the intimacydojo.com, and I'm here with the amazing Rick Folks from thrivingnow.com. And Rick, thanks for being here. I think, both of us have struggled so often with a question of we might be drawn to someone and they don't feel the same, or they don't want to get close. And my whole life, I just always felt like, I'm kind of sitting on the outside. I never felt like, like you said in your email today, I may have a lot of friends, but that sense of belonging, the sense of like, yes, this is good. My social life is meeting my needs in a beautiful ways and helping me feel secure. That's often missing. So if you feel the same way, I'm excited that you're here exploring that with us, because I think it's interesting. A lot of us have imposter syndrome, and we go around thinking we don't have the connection we long for. Or we see others and project onto them what we would imagine. We imagine them having, and don't realize that they often feel insecure and not connected as deeply as we think as well. So we feel like there's something wrong with us. It's like, I remember going to kindergarten, one of my first social interactions in a group, and I'd been raised pretty isolated. And
on a farm, right?
Yeah, I lived on a farm. I had my sister and cats and ponies and my mom and my dad, but we didn't socialize a lot. And the girls that had been in town going to preschool, and they all knew each other, and they were all dressed much like we were very poor. So I had, hand-me-down clothes from the Goodwill that we'd purchased, for like a few dollars. And or my mom had made them, and these girls were in like these nice dresses, and their parents had more money, and they had to interact. They were socially adept, and I felt so like, I just remember looking at them like, these are alien species, and no one gave me a book on how to interact with them. I'd had so much more responsibility. Like when I was like 3 or 4, I was helping on the farm. My dad cut down a broom, and I'd sweep the floor in the barn and help feed the cows hay, and these were kids that really had just a very different experience. And I remember feeling different. I didn't feel like I belonged. And kids are often very cruel, and like they tease me because I didn't know the songs they were singing. I didn't know the books they were talking about. And I just, again, I don't know how to relate or fit in. And my parents they didn't understand that there's actually skills you can teach people. So they just kind of like, well, I remember talking to my dad about it when I was pretty little. And he was like, well, there's smart people, and there's people that are intellectually successful, and there's people that are socially successful, but they're very rarely the same person. Uncle can do it, but very few people can do it. And I was like, oh, that's really sad, because I feel pretty intellectually.
Yeah, I'm the smart one. I guess I'm going to be the lonely one.
And it's been such a gift working with you, Rick, and with Reed and other people to learn, there are actual skills I can use to communicate to the aliens and find people that are like-minded like me, they're aliens in disguise or not aliens in disguise.
So thank you for sharing that story, Kathy. It reminds, I think, all of us at times when we're put into situations where we really are not belonging, the natural part of it where we just plug in and fit in. And for many of us, we may not have that experience ever in our lives. I have to say that was the case for most of my life. And tonight we're going to, together, all of us, first of all, I want to welcome you if you're the type of person that really just loved being on your own and just, never really connecting anyone. Those people aren't here today, so you belong. You belong with those of us that ask the question about closeness and want to know why. So tonight we're going to be covering some things that we've discovered and heard and experienced as being key. One of those we're going to talk about is safety, our own internal sense of safety, and then about selectivity. I alluded to that in the email, that it's sort of an expert tip, but I'll just say that I am really excited about this one, because if someone had suggested this to me, I would have been like, oh, don't be ridiculous. And yet the truth is that it's a factor that can make a tremendous difference in how good you feel and how much of a sense of belonging you have. We also may touch on some things about, what your own blocks may be. What are some of your beliefs about why people may not be close?
Mhm.
And which of those things may be a story? What may be a reality that you can shift? And what are something that maybe it's just a trauma that you picked up and held on to? This is a rich and varied subject, and we're going to be sharing with you a little later on how we can go deeper
Yeah,
as well.
we cover so much in this hour. We'll give you everything we can in the hour, but if you'd like to take it deeper and clear things out so that you can have those experiences, we'll tell you how. So,
All right.
yeah.
So before the call, Kathy, we were really touching on the things that were really core, and you felt very strongly that this first subject of is it safe can really make a fundamental difference. Would you walk us through that?
Yeah, I think it's human nature to blame other people for what we're afraid of. It's to blame other people for not getting close. It's much easier to say, oh, those people are not getting close, rather than I'm afraid to get close to those other people. It lets us that it's like a layer of insulation if I blame you for not getting close to me versus acknowledging, does it really feel safe to me closer to other people? And so I think we often, and this will bridge into the selectivity too, about like, do we want to get close to all people? I think when we're super hungry, we have the belief that we need to eat any food. And if we're very lonely, we feel like we should connect with anybody. And I really grew up, like when I wanted so much to date and have a partner. As I was growing up, I was just like, if someone just assigned me, like, I'd heard of arranged marriages or whatever. Like if someone just assigned me a partner, I would be fine. I just needed someone who was going to be my buddy and my partner. But I'm actually super selective in who I want close.
Yeah.
But I was deluding myself into thinking it was just them out there that didn't want to get close to me. It wasn't a problem in here. And a lot of us have been taught that there's aspects of closeness that are dangerous. And it might be that we're really good. Like I've gotten very good at being socially connected.
Mm-hmm.
I can talk with just about anybody about anything and have like a really good presence and flow. And yet I certainly don't want to be too close physically to a lot of people. And I don't want to, still have a fear of people not respecting my physical boundaries. And when we open up that doorway, for some of us, we've learned early on, if I open the doorway a little bit, they're going to shove their way through and take whatever they want. So, just if you can tune in and be as honest as you can be, it's not an easy topic. See if it actually feels safe to your body. Ask your body. We've talked about body yes, body no many times before, but just notice if there's any tension. Is it safe? Can I get close to other people? Can I get close to other people?
Can I get close to other people and feel safe?
Yeah, and just notice if there's any tension, resistance, tightness in your body. It's really interesting to me because I still feel a lot when I want to get close. A lot of me is really clear. A lot of my body has cleared over a decade of working on this and learning about it. And hope our intention is to help you through it much quicker than that. But because we've learned things that work, but I still have some resistance in my calves. My calves and ankles get tight. Like it's not necessarily safe to move forward. And I have to be specific about who I'm letting myself close to, rather than making it universal. Is it safe to get close to that person in this way? And then my body's like, oh yes, of course.
That's a real key point. So like when you first asked, is it safe to get close to other people, there was this, and that's sort of the generalized anxiety and question and unknowing. Mm-hmm. And some people are just like, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And, for some of those people, they discover that their level of closeness isn't necessarily very intimate, because what they mean by getting close is actually like very playful or engaging in that social way. But when I say getting close to people, I actually mean like in my space so that they can feel my presence, my warmth, and that isn't always going to be a yes.
How deeply are you opening? How close are they actually getting? Are you revealing your soft underbelly?
Yeah. And your point was, for this exercise, the topic is, why won't anyone get close to me? Mm-hmm. The first real coaching point here is, think about a specific person that maybe you're holding back something. It doesn't feel completely safe, and tune it in. Would it feel safe to get close to that person across the table at a coffee shop?
And I invite you to look at, it doesn't have to be someone that you feel like is resisting you, or like you don't have to feel like you're resisting them. It could also be someone you're like, they're resisting me. They don't want to.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Because we do reverse it sometimes. It's like, why won't this person, I like them, why won't they get close to me? And if you have that kind of, someone said, I put up walls so I won't be hurt. Absolutely, we put up walls because we're afraid we'll be hurt. And it's really common. It's smart. Our primitive brain is like, that person, like often for me, the people I like the most that have very good boundaries are sensing my resistance. And they're just like, I can tell this person's not fully comfortable, so I'm not going to go too close.
Yeah.
They might be drawn to me.
And I'm going to also invite, like, if you've been focusing mostly on like romantic or attraction, extend that range out, because for me, that sense of belonging comes from a mix of people in different contexts. So if, like for me, for a long time, if I thought about getting close to a man, there were things inside of me about what I thought that dynamic was and everything else that were very much just didn't feel safe, didn't feel like it was going to be good for me.
Right.
And yet I fell into exactly this trap. I felt like none of these men want to be close to me.
Right.
They don't want to be my friend. Nobody wants to be Rick's buddy. Well, how safe did it feel to be friends with men? 1, 2. Now, what about standing on the sideline at a soccer game? If I had this skill, I would have said, okay, there's a couple of fathers at the soccer game that are actually pretty good dudes. They're supportive of their kids. They don't seem like assholes. And if I had put it in that context, to open up to them as a fellow parent.
Yeah.
But I didn't. It was all kind of lumped into I don't have any friends. People don't want to get close to me. And so we're inviting us all to get a little specific, look for contexts where you already are living and where you might open up in a way that might feel safe. For example, I put walls up so I won't be hurt. Hurt in what way? Sometimes there are contexts where we actually can open up and we're pretty confident that we're not going to be hurt.
Mm-hmm. And I really want to reiterate, I want to anchor something Rick said, because I think it's so important. A lot of us are looking for, I want Prince Charming or Princess Charming to walk through the door right now so I can fall madly in love and be happily ever after. What I teach at cuddle parties and other events I run is, if you show up hungry, you're going to scare Prince or Princess away real fast. Yeah. It's really important to have a circle of support, to build up these skills with other people, to teach your brain and your body that you have support. It makes it much more stable in the relationship. If I'm in a relationship, if I just pick Rick, like he's my one and only, and like I get all my needs met from him doing something.
I'm already feeling the heaviness of that.
Yeah. And I feel like I've got to watch all the time. I've got to watch him and like, oh, he's doing something dangerous. I have to control him, or we're fighting and it's devastating. He said something unkind. I am devastated. Versus I have a circle of support. I'm getting my needs met. Anyway, I'm getting, maybe not every need, but I'm getting a bunch of needs met from other people. I have a lot of stability in my relationships. like, oh, Rick's busy tonight. I'm going to go ask Sandy to go to a movie. I'm going to ask Peter to go for dinner. I have a lot of different people in my life. That takes a lot of pressure off. I still may be hurt if Rick and I fight, but it's not devastated. Like, it's not like my whole world has been torn to little bits, and it takes the pressure off the relationship.
Would you lead us in some tapping to help tune us here as we go forward?
Yeah.
And you made a lot of important points there, and I know that my body's a little stirred up, so we use tapping to do that. Could you? Yeah. So.
Okay. Take a nice, slow, deep breath. I invite you to just be one with the universe for a minute. Invite the universe into your energy. Feel the universe supporting your body, your gravity holding your feet to the ground, your butt in the seat. The air pressure around you is actually quite intense. It's holding you. You're being held by the universe. And I'd like you to just imagine that the universe, ask the universe, hey, universe, be here for me and help me find my true destiny with relationships, my true calling and abilities. And take another nice, slow, deep breath. And the really lovely thing with tapping is that it will never create something that's false. You will never, if you tap on stuff, it will not create a belief that is false. All it will do is help you find clarity. So if you feel like what I'm saying is totally untrue, I invite you to tap on it anyway. You can say the words if it feels okay to you, because it's just going to bring more clarity to your system. It's not going to anchor something that's not true for you. So karate chop. Hey, universe.
Hey, universe.
I haven't always done this really well.
I haven't always done this really well.
I feel really lonely sometimes.
I feel really lonely sometimes.
I want to belong.
And I want to belong.
I was brought up reading a lot of books.
I was brought up reading a lot of books.
And watching movies on TV.
And watching movies on TV.
And they taught me that I was supposed to have Prince or Princess Charming.
And they taught me I'm supposed to have Prince or Princess Charming.
And that person would make my life complete.
And that person would make my life complete.
It feels like a lot of pressure.
That feels like a lot of pressure.
And I haven't always found that person.
And I haven't always found that person.
When I did, I put a lot of pressure on them.
And when I thought I did, I put a lot of pressure on them.
Top of the head. Universe, would you help me find a circle?
Help me find the circle.
Eyebrow, help me feel embraced.
Help me feel embraced.
Side of the eye, help me have stability for the relationships I want to create.
Help me have stability for the relationships I want to create.
Under the eye, if I'm a ravenous beast, it's not safe to get close to me.
If I'm a ravenous beast, it's not safe to get close to me.
Under the nose, and it doesn't feel good to me either.
And it doesn't feel good to me either.
Chin, I don't want us to be starving.
I don't want to be starving.
Collarbone, I want to be open to finding relationships that nourish me and nourish others.
I want to be open to relationships that nourish me and nourish others.
Under the arm, would you guide me to this?
Would you guide me to this?
Top of the head, and would you help me open my eyes and see clearly?
And would you help me open my eyes and see more clearly? Yeah, and distinctly is as a word that it comes to me.
Yeah.
So this safety aspect, I believe, is with us for life, and it's not a bad thing. We want to. I mean, to me, the more savvy and comfortable I get with people, the more the safety becomes like an awareness. I become aware that it's safe in this context to engage and learn more. Remembering that when we say get close, it means get close and then move away. Get close and move away, and that's what we covered in the don't get too close. If you need to refer to that, it was We're dancing, and that's part of this.
And we're going to go deeper on that. If that's something you struggle with, we're going to go deeper on that on the workshop this weekend, this Saturday. We'll tell you more later.
If you are in a place where you're blaming others, and they're not just your family.
Who might
Okay.
be kind of, some families, they have their issues.
But as you walk in the world, if your energy is really like that way, blaming, it's okay. And it's probably, in our experience, a safety thing that if you look into, that's something that you can tune.
Yeah.
And sometimes we blame the cat for not being a dolphin. And we blame the dolphin for not climbing trees. And that gets us into our second major subject here, is being selective. Kathy, have you ever tried to have a cat go surfing with you, so to speak?
I've tried to give my current cat a shower, and it's lucky that I did not lose all the blood in my body, because she felt that was a bad idea, and declines in very clear terms. But yeah, we do try to make cats into dolphins sometimes, and I think that especially, like, I always like to look back at the family of origin. Like, my father was alternatively very, very open to being, like, we would have the most deep, amazing conversations, philosophical discussions from age 5. Like, why is the sky blue? How do people work this way? Like, why do people do what they do? Like, amazing things, to him being just totally unavailable and distant. And I still, to this day, have to watch myself, because I find men like that incredibly compelling. I want so much to, like, win them over. You know what?
Compelling is a good word, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, that man is fascinating. Oh, why do I find him fascinating? Very smart, charismatic, and fickle. And like, okay, is it worth it?
I like my fickle pickle men.
Yeah. It's like, but no, there's a part of my brain and my being that's like, this time I will win. I will fix it. And this person will be so enraptured by me, they won't be fickle. Trying to make a cat into a dolphin, or a duck into a cat. Like, our most romantic stories are built around this. If you read any trashy romance out there, there is some cold, distant, hurt, mean, grumpy, whatever man that, no one else has been able to win over. And the damsel, whether she's incredibly beautiful or a beauty in disguise, somehow wins him over, and he's suddenly, jealous and controlling, and he just wants her. And there's part of us, the children, that's a fairy tale. And then part of us wants that, but I really don't want someone that's going to be jealous and controlling either. I'd like a real adult male or female or someone in between to want to engage with me and be with me as a human being. And there's the 4 or 5-year-old that wants, I will win this time. He will discover the slipper fits me, and I am his true love, and that we will live in a pumpkin in this beautiful palace, and the mice will serve us. And like, I really think it's a fairy tale that our brain wants to believe, so that we can prove we weren't defective when we were little.
It's interesting. I feel like you and I are tuned to different types of relationships, which is one of the reasons I like co-creating. Mm-hmm. You've brought up this fairy tale and other things, and I know that you're really tuned to people that's their doorway into someone getting close. Yeah. You do a lot of work with intimacy, mm-hmm. and a lot of times that's what like brings people into a cuddle party or an intimacy event, is that they're desperate for the one. Mm-hmm. My life changed when I started looking at the circle, which you've also included, and I want to touch on that. For me, for example, let's say with men, if I looked at them as individuals as the first filter, it was actually not helpful. There were some things about what are core for me. For example, a man who's competitive with other men, there's some men that really enjoy that kind of dynamic. I want an energy of a feeling of being together with and buddy. So that's a first filter. Mm-hmm. So if I see men that are really competitive with other men, I know that they're not my species, so to speak. It's not going to be where I'm going to find my male companionship. The next thing is I feel comfortable and resonant with men who love in a safe way. Mm-hmm. Like, there are men who are very hunter, around their love. They seek out and they go after,
You.
right? And for me, I feel really safe and resonant with men that hold a bigger space, where more people are welcome, that people come and go, and that I also, because I'm really picky Ricky, I like men who demonstrate. I see them interacting in ways where I can tell the men and women that interact with them really enjoy the safety and the connection. And once I observe that, then I feel safe to explore whether there's other interests.
Mm-hmm.
So my selectivity when it comes to men is really high, but the kind of men that I enjoy being around and some of the friendships that are being cultivated are very different than like people that can't hold that space.
Mm-hmm.
And so by being more selective, I'm and filtering out in a way that is respectful. I don't have to put people down or reject them.
I don't want to necessarily invest a lot of time in certain types of people. They're not nutritious for me.
Yeah, and when you're cultivating belonging, that's something that's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do find spaces where we've really tuned ourselves. But I wanted to talk about that kind of selectivity with others, with kind of everyone. One of the things I look for is like, who do you still love? Because someone that has a lot of beings, and some, that are no longer in their life, but they hold a place of loving respect toward them, that demonstrate they have healthy boundaries and the like around love, but are generous with it over multiple relationships. I find that there's such an easy resonance because I'm that way. Mm-hmm. It's for someone who says, no, well, I love Bob. Well, do you love anyone else? No, not really. Great. They're more likely to want a one-on-one kind of relationship and have more difficulty understanding my way of relating. So the selectivity part of it, there isn't any right or wrong. You can be selective in any way that you want. I believe that adding emotional qualities, a lot of times people are selective around like socioeconomic interests. That's a thing. Education, that's a thing. All the things are possible, but when I started including emotional qualities in my filter, it's like, oh, because it gives me something that wherever we are, we can be relating in that way. Mm-hmm. If we like deep intimacy, if we like authenticity, if we like talking about things.
We all need different nutrients. And like, I geek out talking about philosophy and why people act a certain way. I geek out on how to inspire people and get them to transform. I have friends not close friends, but friends that think that's nuts. I have movie buddies that like, oh, I just want to go see a comedy. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely in a comedy mood tonight. But we're not going to have a deep philosophical discussion. Whereas I have other friends that we could get in a conversation and at 3 or 4 in the morning, we're like, oh, we have to go to work pretty soon. We should go to sleep. Because we're so enthralled with our conversation. And I think that may be part of a circle as well. Like it can be completely valid.
Multiple different types of nutrients. Is that
what you mean? So like a movie buddy that's a useful nutrient on a night. I just want to go to a movie. I just want to I just need some downtime and I want someone to share popcorn with and laugh at the bad jokes with. That's really nice. And that can be a stabilizing part of my circle. I don't necessarily have to fill it just with intense people that want to talk about how to inspire people. There's nothing wrong with having more or less of certain things. And I think a lot of this is about knowing yourself and what you need to feel fulfilled, to feel like you have that circle. And one of the things I've found is over time, I've been building more and more of a circle and feeling that sense of belonging that I wanted for so long. And I realized it doesn't feel exactly the way I thought it would.
Do you want to say more?
Yeah. So I think I had this feeling like it would be like I imagined in high school, like all the cheerleaders were together. And I thought, like, if I was just cool enough, I would have this, like, oh, everything is going my way. I don't make any mistakes. Everything flows just right. And everybody's like, Kathy, you're so wonderful. We are so glad you're our friend. And it's not like that because we're human. We make mistakes. And my real good friends will tell me when I screw up, and I want that. So it's a much more, it's not this like Disney floodlights, magical moment. It's much quieter for me.
Yeah, and the bonds, like you said, I think this is useful. Like, what did we think belonging meant? I needed to not calibrate down, but change my vantage point.
It's actually richer than I thought.
Yes, it's more of an ecosystem. I mean, we use the term circle because it's a great geometry, because it doesn't imply a hierarchy. For us, that's a sweet thing.
Yeah.
I think in terms of an ecosystem, and in an ecosystem, there's a place to lie in the sun, and a place for shade, and a place to put your feet in the water. And we can have a sense, I think a lot of us as humans have gotten away from that sense of belonging to a region or a place and the nature that's there, because we don't live in it in the same way. I was just out in a tree, and it's one of my tree friends, and it's a part of my world. Mm-hmm. And when I sit in the tree and I see the sun setting through its leaves, and I'm aware of the big turtles and the sound of the birds, the woodpecker came and landed. You know, I belong in that sense of belonging in that tree is something that we cultivate. I had to cultivate it. And we've been alienated so often. We tend to think of things belong to us, like it's my house, my car. This is part, right, as being aware. The first meditation and tapping you took us on, it's like feeling the universe. If you need to personalize it more, feel the sense of belongingness as opposed to ownership. Belongingness. It's like, instead of my best friend, it's this circle of beings beautiful beings that I'm a part of. That was a shift for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, it's almost like if enough core people are together and we've created a community and a collaboration, it creates almost like, I imagine almost swimming through the energy that we've created together. And the temperature feels good, the energy feels good, the interactions with various people feel good. It's like we've collaborated to create, and I have friends all over the country, all over the world, and we'll get, like, I'm flying in August out to see Rick and to see some other people and in the East Coast, and there's a bunch of us coming together, and every time we've gotten together, we've created a beautiful ecosystem for 3 or 4 days, and then we all go our own ways and get little bits of support otherwise. But we can, just like you were talking about your tree and your turtles and everything, that's a beautiful ecosystem. But I don't think it's the one you want to be in all the time. Like in the middle of winter, probably not a good ecosystem for you. It's delightful for a section of your life, but not your whole life.
Yeah. And one of the people said they wanted to feel accepted for who I am and how I think. To me, that's sort of an open-minded, less judgmental, inclusive space. And there are people that really hold that space, that's dear to them. It's even when they mess up, it's still so dear to them that they can clean it up. And that's something. And if you're that person, yay, you've started. You're already moving in that direction toward matching up with people. I'd love to do some quick tapping on that. One of the people mentioned, not ridiculed or people trying to change me. That's like a safety thing for me. Like ridicule and teasing is not safe for me. So people that do that are, the porcupines at the cuddle party. I'm not really interested. I'm not going to invite.
Don't invite them. Don't want them there. Don't want them to be playing with
And just to be clear, I know that from working with clients that a lot of times our core belonging is the family unit, whatever that means for people. That's what our culture says is where we should belong, and with the people that are identified with that. We're in a world right now where there's a tremendous amount of disharmony, discord, and dysfunction in our family units. And we are free enough, fortunately, that by exploring, cultivating an ecosystem, our family can be a part of it if that's healthful for us. And we're taking the stress and the strain off of them who may just have gotten into a habit of ridiculing us and being cruel.
Right.
So
your video is off, Rick, just so
it
you know.
is. It isn't here.
I'm just seeing the Thriving Now symbol.
I'll try to bring it back on.
Yeah, I think I'm not seeing it.
Are you all seeing my video?
I'm seeing me, okay.
Okay.
Okay, Susan says I have both. Thanks, Susan. I don't know why he doesn't like me anymore. See? Look at me, doesn't like me. There you are. Now I see you. I don't know what happened.
Technology.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your help.
Even though there are definitely places I do not belong.
Even though there are definitely places
and with people I don't have a sense of belonging with.
And with people I don't have a sense of belonging with.
A lot of my brain's been focusing on that.
A lot of my brain's been focusing on that.
I'm open to feeling where I might belong.
I'm open to feeling
What's the
where
ecosystem I want to live in?
What's the ecosystem I want to live in?
Oh, I know places I don't belong.
Oh, I know places I don't belong.
I know those places intimately.
I know those places.
And it is hurt. And it is hurt.
And it has hurt.
Why won't anyone get close to me?
Why wouldn't anyone?
I don't want those people to get close to me.
I don't want those
people are so different.
People are so different.
There's some that love to ridicule each other.
There are some that love to ridicule
There's even TV shows where that's the plot line.
There are many TV shows where that's the plot line.
I don't want to live in that TV show.
I do not want to live in that TV show.
Not to have to.
And maybe I'm free enough not to have to. I think that's really important. I really felt good to tap in because I think there's been a part of me holding on that if a good person must fit in always, like a really charismatic or popular person would always fit in. Because I saw, like we're swimming in small ecosystems as kids and we're like, that person seems always popular. I want to always be popular. But you know what? There's groups of people I don't want to be popular with. The Ku Klux Klan, I don't want to feel I don't want to fit in with them. No. And
even not going, we can go out to the extreme and then kind of work our way back. Like there are people that are really into something. They are really into it. And it's not your thing. And when we give ourselves,
I love that they have them, but not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Quilting bees. It's fine that they have them.
There are really intensively happy groups.
That
are really into things that I am not into.
That I am not into.
And that's okay. I do not have to belong everywhere.
I do not have to belong everywhere.
But maybe there are places where I would like to get close to others.
Maybe there are places I would like to get close to.
What would I like to co-create?
What would I like to co-create?
Are there any co-creatorships out there for me?
Are there any co-creatorships out there for me? I love that because I think that, again, I grew up thinking that there would be this group I would just fall into. And apparently I have very selective taste because I've rarely found, I've found a few where I fell into and was like, oh, the bathwater is so nice. I love this. But most of the time it's like, okay, it's close or I need to create something myself. So, um, and it's hard when there's groups that remind us of dangerous situations, and it's hard sometimes to know what's real and when you're projecting, especially like if we've grown up with people that were good at gaslighting or deluding us. We may not trust our own judgment. That's another reason it's good to have that circle of support. If you have other people that you can run things by, like if I'm meeting a group and I'm like, I'm not sure about this behavior, and I can run it by Rick and some other friends, and they're all like, that sounds suspicious. Or I might even say, hey, Rick, would you come to one of the meetings and tell me what you notice? We can start getting that balance. We have that sense of, oh, maybe it's okay, or maybe I'm not sure. And we can trust our gut and work through whatever's coming out. But having that circle is really powerful.
For me, if there's a reminder, I can tap on the reminder, which was a dangerous situation. Like, oh, this reminds me of that, and that was definitely a situation. I don't want to go back there.
Right.
I don't want to go back there.
I don't want to go back there.
Is this the same? I don't want to talk myself out of it.
I don't want to talk
myself into it.
I don't want to talk myself into it.
It is hard to find the circle.
It is hard to find the circle.
And I'm open to being surprisingly clear.
Open to being surprisingly clear. It's also okay to build it over time. I must have it now. What if I gain a couple people a year even that are really dear and lovely, and find some communities that I like to swim in? Over time, I'm going to have a really good circle. Like as I build better skills, it's about baby steps and doing lots of tapping. And sometimes we have to build that circle rather than have it appear in front of us.
And the truth is that with people and groups, there are things that evolve over time. And that's, so I want to go back to just quickly, one of the ways that you and I do support for each other is that when one of us has a situation that we're not clear about, we're asking the other person to reflect and ask to get our world. Mm-hmm. So like if Kathy is really listening and wants to get my world, part of my world is that I have stuff that happened to me that's I don't want to ever go back to. I know in Kathy's world, sometimes she might find someone compelling that really isn't good for her.
And I don't want to spend a lot of time getting enthralled and drawn down the rabbit hole.
But someone can have a whiff of something and not actually be dangerous. Like I'm categorized as a male, I present as a male, and that alone is dangerous for some people. I'm unmarried, that can be dangerous. Mm-hmm. So I know for me that I can fit into a lot of dangerous categories. And one of the things we really like is having people in our world, and this does take time to cultivate, and you may need to hang out with people that want to belong, like and see who you resonate with, so that you can have people that get your world, that understand enough about the places that you like to have a little extra support, and that understand you also want to cultivate connection, intimacy, and safety.
Well, and Rick and I have been cultivating our connection for 11 years. And I've also had other people that I cultivated some connection. I thought it was going to be a deeper, longer lasting relationship, and they kind of ghosted or bailed after a year or 6 months or 2 years. But they also introduced me to other people and other experiences while they were around. So sometimes that's okay too. Do you want to talk about the workshop a little bit?
Yes,
now,
I would. Do you want to bring up the information? So this is pretty last minute. this is so important to us that we just said, look, let's get into this. So we scheduled these 2 calls, and we're going to do our first get together would be this coming Saturday, and it's Belonging: The Brave Intimacy of Connecting by Choice. And Kathy and I will be walking people through blocks and fears and resistances, and really understanding in a deeper way the nuances of belonging and creating a sense of being a part of connections that have warmth, delight, and ease. Unless, of course, what you really want is competition, struggle, and challenges.
Yeah, if that's what you want, this class is not for you. Please
We're
don't.
probably not the teachers for that. So you want to continue on there, Kathy?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is this Saturday, we're going to have, normally this is a $97 program easily, but we're going to start it with $47 for the people that are helping us co-create it and explore this as we go forward. And this Saturday, we're going to have 4 hours of workshops, and we'll include a little bit of a break in the middle so you can go and do some thought processes and kind of integrate what you're doing. But basically 4 hours of in-depth work, and then we're going to have a couple follow-up calls and some videos to help you go a little bit deeper and explore what you want to create and how you want to create it, and then actually help you with the skills and releasing the blocks that is preventing you from having it, so that you can have the dance that we've been talking about, where you don't feel scared if someone backs away a little bit, or if you need to back away a little bit, and you can just breathe and be with your relationships in a way that's very fulfilling. So we're very excited about it.
You can go to the Intimacy Dojo.
Oh. Yep, there it goes.
theintimacydojo.com/belonging. That's Kathy's website. And
or you can click right below the screen. It says
workshop and learn more and sign up. So the safe is an aspect of this, getting clear and selective, allowing yourself to being selective. And I'd like if we could tap on, do you feel drawn to lead us in a tapping of like the balance between being selective and not having anyone, that there won't, if I'm picky or selective, that I won't have anyone.
Yeah, because there's nuances there. And human brains are not, we like black and white, we want it clear, we want but it's not always. So take a nice, slow, deep breath. Karate chop. Even though I want those amazing, delicious people that I long for.
Even though I want those amazing, delicious people that I long for.
I don't want to starve.
I want to starve in the meantime.
And I don't want to eat the poison berries
either.
How do I know who to select?
How do I know who to select?
How do I know who to choose?
How do I know who to choose?
How do I know who to dance with?
How do I know who to dance with?
Top of the head. Even if I'm hungry, I shouldn't eat poison berries.
Even if I'm hungry, I shouldn't eat poison berries.
Eyebrow, if someone's abusive.
If someone's abusive, mean, or ridiculing, or...
Yeah, some guy, if they were to kill me, I should let them go.
Let them go.
Under the eye, I
deserve better.
Under the nose, no poison berries for me.
No poison berries for any of us.
Chin, and if I haven't found those perfect people
I haven't found perfect people...
Collarbone, and I don't know that I even need to find perfect
maybe
people.
I don't even have to find perfect people.
Under the arm, I can look for the brightest lights around me.
I can look for the brightest lights around me.
Top of the head, and I don't have to promise forever.
And I am not promising forever.
Eyebrow, I can dance with them for a day or two.
I can dance with them for a day or two.
Side of the eye, or months or years.
Months or years.
Under the eye, just enjoy their presence.
And enjoy their presence.
Under the nose, nourishing each other.
Nourishing each other.
Chin, and finding more of what I want.
And finding more about what I want.
Collarbone, it's okay to take baby steps.
It's okay to take baby steps.
Under the arm, it's okay for my taste to change over time.
It's definitely okay for my taste to change over time.
Top of the head, I get to dance with this.
I get to dance with this.
and dance with them.
And dance with them.
Nice deep breath. And I do think that's been really helpful for me to like, I let myself go deeper in conversations now than I used to. I used to wait until like someone like Rick, where my whole body is like, this is a good person. I'm going to like, yes, this is my body's, yes, this person connect with. But then I was really hungry, and I was sometimes very awkward when I met them. And luckily Rick's very patient with awkward. But the more I dance with people, like, hey, you might be fun to dance with for a day or a conversation. Okay, and now I'm complete. Thank you so much. It's different if we're promising, I'm going to love you forever. You'll be my best friend forever. I try not to promise that because I'm like, hey, I'd love to explore this conversation with you. Wow, that belief you have does not resonate with me. It's actually against what I believe. You know, I don't want to explore it further. Thanks so much for the dance. The dance was interesting. I got a little filled up. I learned something, and I'm going to go on to the next person. Or, wow, that was really delightful. Would you like to dance again next week or next month? And we start filling our world up with people we know we like to dance with. The only way to get there, though, this is so hard for me. I hated it so much. But it seems to be a universal truth. I have to get out there and dance to find people I want to dance with. And that means occasionally my toes get stepped on, or I have a really awkward dance, or I'm like, why did I dance with that person? It's not always clean and pretty, but it's beautiful. And life's kind of like that. It's kind of messy, but if we have the skills and the boundaries to say, wow, that was interesting, and I don't want to do that again, thanks very much, and take ourselves off, there's a lot less fear of getting close. And when we're not resisting it and we're knowing how to select, I think that the right people will see us shining more brightly. Mm-hmm. And they'll be like, oh, you seem very yummy. I think you're a delicious berry. Would you like to dance with me? And I think the more clearly we're defining ourselves, like you said in the email, like if you're not being selective enough, if you're trying to force yourself to dance with berries, mixing analogies horribly now. Sorry, everyone. Dancing with the berries don't. It's hard to shine brightly. And we're not going to, if I'm a little more selective, as I gradually grow more selective, as I know what works for me, what makes me feel fulfilled, I'm hanging out with the kind of people that attract people that I like. And I'm also like, I'm glowing brighter. I'm like, oh, I'm clear, and people feel more comfortable with me. So it's easier for them to get a clear message of, this is a good person to dance with. So a good berry.
We're coming toward the end of our time together. I wanted to share a little tip that I'm getting an echo back from. I wanted to share a little tip that when I was at the I Have No Friends time, what made a huge difference was for me to think of the world that I wanted to live in terms of emotional experiences. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, the things that are a big part of my life today, I would have had huge blocks to considering.
Me too, yeah.
But I didn't have huge blocks. I had safety issues, but I didn't have blocks to considering. For example, I wanted to be around people that it was safe to be in touch contact. Touch is one of my love languages. So I wanted the emotional experience of physical connection, and that it would not have to be in a sexual context. I wanted people that could drop down. I wanted to be free to share what was meaningful to me, and to find out deeply what was meaningful to others. Not what they were. If they were worried about something, I wanted to be able to have the experience of them letting me into why. Why is that dear to them? Why is that consuming their energy, so that I could really get their world? That's an emotional intimacy. Those are forms of intimacy. I wanted playfulness. That energy of freedom, of co-creation, the kind of play that wasn't a sport with rules, but the kind of play that said, hey, we're two bodies in space and time, and what might we do?
Yeah.
And I had no idea where that would all lead me, but I started kind of plotting it out on a little bit of a mind map of the things that were emotionally dear to me. And then starting to look then out in the world, what are things that give a taste of that? Maybe some things give a deep plunge into that. What gives an introductory whiff of that? I took a 6-hour massage course, introduction to massage therapy. I would, if I wasn't clear on the emotional stuff.
Right.
And if I think about the things like dance and massage and emotional freedom coaching work, these were not things on my landscape. I went from baby step to baby step, but the baby steps started with a clearer idea of the landscape, and we're going to be doing some of that in the workshop.
Yeah, really, and helping you determine. One of the things we're going to start out with is some exercises, and we'll weave them throughout, that really helps you get clear on where you are right now and what you want to create and why. Because when we articulate that, it's really powerful. Like when I'm clear about what I want, even if I'm not using those words, my energy is much clearer, and the universe is like, oh, that's what you wanted? Why didn't you tell me? Here you go. I found that time and time again, the clearer I am, the better that is. So we're going to help you get that clarity on why you want to belong, what you want to create with that energy and that flow and that clarity. And then it makes it much easier to find the baby steps. Like Rick was really clear that he wanted relationships that involve touch. So it was really like, oh, I can try this dance. I can do this thing. I can maybe I'll try contact improv. And then, oh, this is very yummy for me. I meet a lot of I should keep coming back to this berry
I didn't
patch.
even know that it existed and I had to find it.
But
so go ahead.
People lead us back to if we know experiences we want to have, like cuddle parties, for example. I go to a cuddle party. It's very rare that I don't meet someone really amazing, even just for that time. But it just when we're clear on what we want to create, it helps us identify the patches of berries that are probably going to be the most nutritious for us. And sometimes it's good to try ones that we're not sure of, but that clarity is really powerful. And we're excited to create that with you, because when we're in that space together, it's, I tell people this all the time. We say we'll do things by ourselves and our brain is lying. It says, I'll do it later. It says it will be easier later. It's a lie. It's lying because it's scared. And so in that space, in this collective energy, we can often go deeper and hear insights that we wouldn't hear otherwise, or we might be inspired by, Jean saying something, or Sherry saying something, or Trudy saying something like, oh, that's what I want. So, it's very powerful. The calls will be all recorded, so you can go through them, again or the first time. And there is still that collective energy there, but the most powerful is if you can show up live and do this with us. We're just really excited about it. So, because we want that sense of belonging. We want that for everyone.
Could you bring up the link again? It's theintimacydojo.com/belonging.
Yep. Share screen. So oops, wrong one. No, there it goes. Yeah. Technology.
Yay.
Yeah.
Makes it possible.
So, you can find out more information there, and we'll have a couple follow-up calls and some videos too, where we're going to be exploring it, partly based on what comes up for you during the call. So during the workshop, because I think too often people that are very sensitive and long very much for that ecosystem, that swimming through this energy, nobody really talks about it. So I was brought up that you were either born with it or you don't have it. You're born with the skills or you don't have it. That's not true. You can have this, and we want you to have the skills and release the resistances so that you're swimming when you want to, and you have plenty of good berry bushes to go to, and I'm feeling like blackberries today, or I feel like some Marionberries, which I had in Canada the other day, or Northwest. They were so good. I'd never had one before. So, there's all kinds of things out there we don't even know exist yet. And then when we get clear and we release the resistance, the universe is like, okay, I've been waiting. Now here you go. Here's all these wonderful experiences. And we want to create that for you.
Thank you all so much. Hope to see you at the workshop. If you have follow-up questions, email us. support@thrivingnow.com goes to both Kathy and I. And thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you all.
Good night.
Thanks for your courage.